chart shows how $817 billion stacks up against the world. Look at how the entire gross domestic products of multiple sovereign nations are completely dwarfed by the projected net worth of one single person. To wrap our heads around that number, try this math. If you liquidated that wealth and handed it out evenly to all 8.3 billion people on Earth, every single person would walk away with roughly $1,000. When someone builds an empire of this magnitude, we often assume it requires an unrepeatable streak of luck or a glitch in the global economic system. However, Musk repeated a specific winning formula across 5 wildly different industries, building heavyweights like PayPal, Tesla, SpaceX, SolarCity, and xAI. He manages this scale by operating as a builder rather than a buyer, relying on a rigorous mental framework known as first principles thinking. Understanding that trillion-dollar trajectory requires tearing down the finished empire to examine the 4 raw components of his process. Imagine trying to buy a $10 million bicycle. If you want to make it cheaper, standard logic suggests looking for a different store, negotiating a discount, or finding a cheaper brand. A first principles thinker ignores the finished bicycle entirely. They break the object down into its absolute base components, pricing out the metal tubing, the rubber tires, and the individual gears to find the true raw cost of the materials. Musk applied this logic to Tesla. Instead of accepting the market rate for electric batteries, he priced out the raw chemical elements like cobalt, nickel, and lithium, which allowed him to slash production costs by 80%. This strategy carried over to SpaceX. For decades, legacy aerospace companies operated by purchasing finished, pre-assembled rocket systems for billions of dollars. Musk rejected that procurement model. He asked what a rocket is actually made of, and went straight to the open commodity market to price out raw aerospace-grade alloys, titanium, and carbon fiber. This chart breaks down the resulting math. The raw materials only accounted for about 2% of a typical rocket's final price tag. By assembling the parts in-house, SpaceX cut launch costs by nearly 98%. By refusing to accept standard assumptions about what things should cost, he physically alters the baseline economics of heavy industry. Maintaining this level of production across several industries creates a massive logistical bottleneck. Musk is currently managing over 120,000 employees simultaneously. He anchors his 90-hour workweek with a rigid rule: 45 hours of unbroken deep work per company. To manage micro-decisions, he uses time blocking. Slicing his day into exact 5-minute increments allows him to give direct staff feedback without breaking his overall focus. He treats time exactly the way he treats physical materials, stripping away the dead space to maximize the density of his output. Traditional engineering operates on a culture of perfection. Legacy aerospace engineers might wait 10 to 20 years between rocket tests just to ensure a single launch is flawless. SpaceX's Falcon 1 timeline was entirely different. They launched in 2006 and the rocket failed. They immediately built another, launched in 2007 and failed again. By 2008, a third consecutive launch failure completely depleted their capital, pushing the company to the absolute brink of bankruptcy. But this exposes his core operational thesis: fail fast, learn fast. Because they had built a rapid feedback loop, they isolated the flaw and successfully launched their 4th rocket that exact same year. That rapid iteration paid off. The successful 4th launch instantly secured a massive NASA contract, saving SpaceX from collapsing. Under this framework, failure is a highly compressed data gathering tool designed to guarantee eventual success. This leads to his final strategy: the idea that an impossible deadline is inherently productive. He practices aggressive time compression, taking a goal that typically requires 10 years of runway and artificially enforcing a 1-year deadline. The logic behind this is psychological. Even if you miss that 1-year deadline, the act of attempting it forces you to ruthlessly strip away all standard inefficiencies. Setting an impossible horizon is a mental hack that forces first principles thinking, allowing you to outpace competitors moving at the industry's default speed. When we look back at that $817 billion projection, the picture starts to make sense. This valuation reflects the scale achieved when you apply high-density time management and 98% cost reductions to multiple global industries at once. You do not need to be building electric cars or plotting missions to Mars to utilize this logic. First principles is universally scalable. Whether you are trying to budget a small business or map out a personal goal, you can stop relying on the analogies of how things have always been done and start building your own results from the raw fundamentals.